Christmas! My name's Alex Campbell, and you're watching Examining the Expanse. So we open with Bobby and Alex in the Razorback, and Bobby explains the level of a disenfranchisement to Alex. Now this story was actually the end of book 4 and told from Holden's perspective. If I remember correctly, he was talking about his golden retriever. It was exactly the same story as far as emotional beats go, and the point of it still was that humans only have so much grieving, and after you're done grieving as much as you possibly and physically can, that you need to move on and get things done. And I remember this specifically because while I was listening to this, I was at work and I was on a break. I used to work at this restaurant, and you'd work like a 6-hour shift, and you get like a 3-hour break, and you work like another 5-hour shift. And I wasn't able to get home, so I basically just sit there and listen to The Expanse for 3 hours in the bar. And while I was listening to this moment, the emotional beats are also effective. Mostly because I have a dog that's currently 11 years old and starting to see her age and like the decline of her health and what Holden was talking about and the loss of his dog. It just got me to the point where I was like, oh no, don't cry, don't start crying. Just imagining patrons sitting down to a lovely meal and looking over, and in the corner of the bar there's sitting a chef crying about a dog. Or I guess they wouldn't know I was crying, just sitting listening to headphones crying. So yeah, as soon as Bobby started telling this story, I'm like, oh, I know this story. Holden told this story in the book about his golden retriever. And then yeah, of course they get this signal that all transport and ships coming into Earth have to be delayed because of this emergency that's just transpired, and it just immediately grabs your attention.
All ships headed for Earth are advised to expect delays as UN traffic control clears patterns for vessels involved in emergency relief efforts.
We still don't have all the details of the impact, but estimates put the blast between 200 and 300 kilotons.
So I'm only 17 chapters or so into book 5, but even though I'm not up to any of this in the book yet, it's been hammered home to me so many times, the significance of this relationship between Amos and Peaches. I've heard Jasper talk about it several times. I've heard it come up in interviews with the cast and crew, and I've seen all the setups in season 3 and 4. And yeah, we didn't get much of it here, but I have to say, it was great. When they enter down into the pit, just the idea of all these perpetrators with these body modifications and this mass amount of guards all around him is such a interesting and compelling and tense idea. And then the actress who portrays Clarissa Mao, she was able to hit such surprising emotional beats. It was so sad and dark, and her situation is so twisted and sad. And to see Amos sitting there, not really understanding why he's come to visit her, but just thinking of Lydia and thinking of how Lydia helped him when he was down and out and he was unable to help himself, and seeing pieces of himself within her, knowing that she's a murderer and he's a murderer, and they're both these monsters that have kind of been created by how traumatic and how dark and fucked up the world is. It was, yeah, surprisingly dark and emotional. And then, of course, as with the previous scene, the suspense just spikes and these alarms start bellowing and the roof cracks, and I cannot fucking wait to see what happens in the next part of this narrative, eh? Like, what the fuck is gonna happen with Peaches and Amos down here? I have no idea, but I cannot fucking wait till next week.
I was lucky. I had somebody that helped me.
Did you come here to help me?
As soon as we cut to Avasarala and Delgado, the show was able to convey this very ominous, realistic tone. It felt more to me like watching 9/11 transpire on television when I was 11 years old and having no idea or context as to what was actually happening. It didn't feel like some big theatrical, over-the-top disaster film. It had this like, yeah, just realism, and it was just grounded in this tone.
Christian,
What?
a second rock just hit Earth.
Where?
About 40 kilometers northwest of Philadelphia.
Watching Avasarala and Delgado try to convey the information that they have to everyone was so fucking tense. They're the only ones who actually know what is happening, but everyone has completely cut them off from any communications, thinking that they're just the boy who cried wolf. That moment where one of them calls the guy on the UN-1 and he just swipes away their call, it was such a fucking gut punch. And it's funny because the setup for these rocks hitting Earth has been less than subtle, and I've known that this is going to be happening since the end of season 4, whenever that came out, a year ago. But even though I knew these rocks were going to impact Earth, I've never been more immersed, amazed, or engaged in a film or a television show. When the asteroid hits, the second asteroid, and UN-1 goes down, it's funny, my partner was sleeping and I yelled, "Oh my fucking god!" At like 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, just, the Expanse has always excelled in just creating tense suspense situations, and even though I knew exactly what was going to happen, the way it played out, and the filmmaking, and the tension, and the suspense, it was just completely superb. So while all the big narrative beats that were going to transpire on Earth have been laid out and we all kind of knew that these rocks were going to hit, I had absolutely no idea what was about to go down on Tycho Station, eh? That moment where Sakai shoots Fred Johnson, it just completely shocked me. And that awesome fucking mech comes and takes a proto-molecule. I just had no idea that any of this was going to happen. I was sitting there when it all first started happening. I went, what's going on? What the fuck is going on? It was incredible. And then, yeah, the butcher of Anderson Station, he's gone. And his death, it genuinely saddened me. Even though, you know, Fred Johnson's character was introduced and he wasn't particularly likable, or he wasn't particularly on our hero's side, his last conversation with Holden, they've come together more in where they are in the world. And it was like these two leaders of men talking about not just what was happening, not just the events surrounding the politics of the ring gates or the proto-molecule or any of that, but Fred was like genuinely giving him life advice on what he should do with Naomi and his crew and about how to find happiness. And Holden seemed to be slowly developing this mentor relationship with him, kind of like a pseudo father figure. Another father for Holden. How many dads do you need, Holden? I didn't even have one! You got fucking 20 of them! Anyway, yeah, the emotional beats of Fred Johnson, it generally, yeah, made me feel sad, which I was surprised at, because, I mean, it's Fred Johnson. Anyone who complained about the first 3 episodes this season being too slow or just being centered around character drama needs to understand something about setup and payoff. I always remember as a kid listening to this interview with Peter Jackson and him talking about Helm's Deep, and how if the battle just happened out of nowhere, it wouldn't have been as effective as how he played it out, which was this really slow, grinding reveal of all the pieces coming together and all the characters realizing what was about to happen, and it just slowly building. And that's exactly what this season has done. And we've had all these little beautiful character moments which are obviously going to pay off later on, but underneath that we've had this really slow, dramatic build-up of tension. And this episode here, which is all action and all pace and all suspense, it would have been nowhere near as effective without all these previous hours setting up this moment. If you just immediately cut to the asteroid, it's not as impactful without all these little grinding moments just slowly raising the stakes. Our hero Holden challenging this proto-molecule procuring mechanized menace was quintessential Expanse and so fucking satisfying. That's right, Holden. Take on the fucking robot. Try and fight a fucking robot. I was kind of disappointed when the targeting satellites found the asteroids and then Earth's defense system destroyed them. At this point in time, I think I brought in DeMarco's doctrine. I wanted him to destroy the only planet in the solar system with an atmosphere. It's such an incredibly crazy, insane set of circumstances for him to act out. I mean, you think about how valuable Earth is to the solar system and to humans, and he's just like, fuck it all. Onye Beltalowda, let's destroy these fucking inners. I've been waiting all season to see more of Keon Alexander portraying Marco Inaris, and this episode did not disappoint whatsoever. We can just see the way that his charisma has twisted everyone around him into this extreme doctrine, and a great antagonist, right? To be effective, you need to understand their thought pattern. Even if you don't agree with their actions, you need to be able to follow their steps of logic. They need to be substantial obstacle for the protagonists to butt heads with. Otherwise there's no tension. If they're not substantial and they don't have merit and weight, then there's no suspense. And yeah, Keon Alexander and Marco Inaris, they just tick every box. I mean, to the point where I can actually feel empathy for this psychopath. And might I say, he's also one handsome human being.
Son, you did it. Oh, we did it. This is our moment.
As much as I love amazing shots of asteroids impacting the Earth and all this chaos and disaster playing out, I really love fucking character moments more so than events, eh? And we got some fucking great ones with this fucking dysfunctional family reunion. I love that little moment where Marco has this subtle stab at Philip, saying that he's still a little boy who needs his mother. You can just see a little taste of the mass manipulation that Philip must have had to deal with while growing up with his father. And there's this moment where Marco tells Naomi that Philip is the one who stole the Steltech from Mars, and she realizes that his tragic fate is now constantly going to be tied into Marco's, and whatever comes of this, she can't save Philip, she can't save her son. He's forever doomed and forever tied into this tragic, tyrannical extremist. And Dominic Tipper's performance, it was so hard-hitting, and I just, oh my god, so effective. All of these actors are brilliant. The script is amazing, the dialogue is great, and we've built up to all of these emotional beats for maximum impact.
Philip took the stealth tech from Mars. He helped make this dream a reality.
Boss mate, tracking scopes show Berto's destroyed Tree Rock.
We then end this incredible episode with this hauntingly captivating speech by Marco as he claims that him and the Free Navy were the ones that acted out this simultaneous attack on Earth and Mars and Tycho Station. He reveals that he now has the proto-molecule, and that if anyone tries to seek revenge for this mass chaos, that he'll just fucking throw the proto-molecule at them. He says that the ring gates are the belts now, and that all the stuff the Inners has done for all these years, their superiority just standing over the Belters, is all gone, and that the Belters are a substantial enemy. it cuts in between all our heroes all over the solar system, looking at the terminals, watching this happen, and I just can't help but think, wow, what an amazing obstacle. I have no idea how our heroes are going to overcome it, but I can't wait to watch how it plays out.
In joy and glorious resolve, this day is ours. Tomorrow is ours. The future of humanity is ours. Today and forevermore, we are free.
I mean, in conclusion, I can't sit here every episode and say, this is amazing, it was well written, the actors are incredible, The Expanse is amazing. Because it'll get repetitive, but all of those things are true. But I genuinely feel that this episode is in the top 5. It was in the top 5 best Expanse episodes, and that's saying a lot because the top 5 is a big top 5. And instead of waffling on and continuing to repeat myself, I'm only gonna say one more thing. Merry Christmas, everybody!